So finally another video. So my apologies, people have been asking why I haven't posted anything, and it's basically because I've had to take a step back and take care of some things that have come up in the meantime, psychically. So kind of began in January. The young lady who came through my home church in Connecticut uh, during the ghost tour, and then again in December, picked up on a few more spirits. So we had been texting back and forth in January. And one evening, she sent me a text say, I'm under psychic attack. And so is my cat. And I said, okay, what's causing psychic attack? And she says, I think it's something dark attached to you. And every time I try to reach out to you or think about you, it attacks. I'm like, oh, okay. So then she went on to describe a scenario where she thinks it was attached since childhood, and she asked if I grew up in a house where the attic, or the bedrooms were up in the attic. And I said, no, that doesn't match our house. We had full bedrooms with an attic above that. But the house next door, my aunt and uncle's house, did have two bedrooms, basically finished off the attic and put two bedrooms up there. So my cousins grew up there, and their son and daughter were living in that space. So she says, well, I'm seeing that space. There's something dark there, and it's attached itself to you. Every time I try to help you, it's attacking me. So she said, you need a team to take care of this. She thinks it's very attached, been attached for a very long time, and you need a team to get rid of it. And, she's going to stop communicating with me. It's like, so that kind of shook me, to put it mildly. So I immediately went for Reiki, got a Reiki master who was also medium. And so she spent an hour and a half working with me about that. When I first came in to see the Reiki master, I described a little bit what was going on and what I was told was happening. Something dark has been attached to me since childhood, and can you at least identify what this is and help me get rid of it, or tell me what steps I need to take to get rid of it? So I described a little bit of the background and talked about some of the ghosts in the home church in Connecticut, and immediately she said, Ben is an asshole. Ben is an asshole. No, you need to, the only way you're going to get rid of him is you need to burn salt in that space. What's burning salt? So she said you put apparently like isopropyl alcohol, mix it with salt, light it on fire, and then you have to burn that in these spaces. I said, well, it's a daycare now. I don't think I'll be able to do that. Plus, Ben seems to be in a place where he's working his way towards the light. So I'm not tampering with that again if I can avoid it. So anyway, she continues to work on me. She asks some questions about deep, dark past, um, people that have wronged me, that kind of thing. So she tried to help me work through those issues, forgive people, release those thoughts and that energy from me. And it apparently got overwhelming because I have a lot of things attached to me, apparently, or at least near me. She said, I'm going to have to shut you down. So she went ahead and shut me down. I don't think completely, but at least all this noise around me. So after that session, I will say my mind was a lot clearer. I didn't have all voices or chatter in my head anymore, but I did have that dark energy come through a couple times, including at work. I'd be talking to coworkers who I get along with very well, good friends, and I would hear things in my head pretty clear, like, touch her breast, spit in her face, do this, do that. And that freaked me out also. So I, did my prayers, meditations, sage, tingsha, all my usual techniques for doing that. And I said, I need to get to the shaman. So I couldn't get to see the shaman for about 2-3 weeks after that. Finally did. And she said she cleared me, whatever that was. Um, you know, it's clear. But you know, you need to meditate, you need to focus, um, and keep that out of your thoughts, keep it away from your aura. So that did help. It seemed to lessen it. Occasionally after that, I would get a dark thought like that, but it wasn't anywhere near what it was before. So it's been continuing, but I had made an appointment, phone appointment with a local psychic medium in the next town over who I'd taken a class with 6 or 7 years ago, but she's very gifted. She's a healer, psychic medium. Um, so I signed up. We did a phone session in, let's see, uh, February 8th. So I'm waiting for that telephone session. And in the meantime, had a few weird experiences. Again, so you know, some chatter, negative thoughts, that kind of thing. I could still feel it around if I really concentrated, or it would intrude in conversations. Um, but it was lesser from that. And again, the chatter in my head was gone. So my thoughts were clearer, which was nice. I'll tell you that. I was sleeping a lot more soundly. One of the things the young lady in Connecticut told me is like uh, she takes a piece of black tourmaline if she's having, you know, confused thoughts, too much stuff going on in her mind. She'll take the black tourmaline to put it to her forehead, clear it out. So I tried it then and there with her, and it seemed to work. She said put some tourmaline under your pillow at night. So I've been doing that, and I've been sleeping more soundly. I haven't had a lot of visitations at night, so that was interesting. Everything at this point, I'm just taking it all in and trying to formulate what is going to work for me. But anyway, about a week before I had my uh, phone session with the medium, the healer here, um, I was in the bathroom doing what you do, and I was listening to music, and I had Queensryche, Silent Lucidity, on the phone, and I'm listening to that, and I love that song. A lot of people love that song. It's a really nice rock ballad, but it does talk about kind of like, you know, being enlightened, being protected from the other side, you know, about your dreams, your thoughts, you know, your spiritual journey, journeys you may take while you're sleeping, that kind of thing. And there's that line in the song. It comes to, it's like, and your soul set free to fly. And it got to that line, and right at the beginning of that stanza, I felt this like energy, like almost like a crackling in my stomach while I'm in the bathroom. And I feel this energy, and then as that line goes through, your soul set free to fly, I just feel this zing right up through my body, up out of my head, up into space above me. And the only thing I can think of, it felt like, is like something was attached, and for whatever reason, that line opened me up, or opened up something, portal, light, whatever, and something went up as a result of that. So that freaked me out. So I played the song again to see if it would work again, and it did not work the second time. So that was interesting. That's my most profound experience in this whole time frame here, the last month and a half. Anyway, so finally gets to the phone session with the medium, and we end up talking for an hour and a half. I ended up um, sitting there meditating as she's going through, and I've described what the issues were. I said something's attached to me. She feels I need a team. Yeah, I had these dark thoughts, and um, I honestly began to question not whether I had abilities, but if I should be using my abilities, because everything in that page, this dark thing attached to me, if I shut it down, maybe it will dissipate. Um, so I honestly started questioning whether I should be even doing this. Am I really here to cross souls over? Is that something that, you know, one medium told me years ago that I've just clung on to? So I was having doubts. So session with that, I relayed all this to her, and she said, "Well, your energy is very strong. Your energy is very strong. You have all sorts of guides around you. You just need to connect with them. You need to meditate. So let's go through." And she says, "My guides are telling me that what's attached to you is an old family curse. She said it was elemental. So I'm referring to my notes here because it got pretty intense. It was elemental. It goes back generations. But she said it's very old energy. She thinks it's elemental. She said acupuncture may help me, so that's something to consider. But she said there's a connection to your great great grandfather, and she didn't say which side of the family. I didn't ask which side of the family, but as soon as she said great great grandfather, what popped into my head was the my great great grandfather Moses, who owned the farm up in New Hampshire, and it was the house that was haunted that we never liked going to growing up. I know I've told this in another video talking about ancestors coming through, and my cousin had come up from Florida, and we went up to New Hampshire. He had never seen or met the relatives up there, seen the farm, nothing. Brought him up there. He wanted to go in the house when we got there, and it was abandoned at that point and for sale. And so I said, I'm not going in that house. It's haunted. And we already knew between my mother going to a medium and her cousin confessing to her that my grandfather had been thrown off the farm after my grandmother died, and my mother and her sister at age 6 and 3 had to be put up with relatives, friends, boarders, whoever would take them while my grandfather tried to find work in the middle of the Depression. So that's kind of a dark spot in that side of the family. So anyway, the mediums told my mother, and my cousin then told my mother, Moses haunted the farm, and he was pissed off that my grandfather did not inherit it like he was supposed to. So we knew this. I knew this as we were about to go in the house. I said, that house is haunted. I'm not going in there. So he says, oh, come on, come on, come on. So we end up going in the house. And the first words out of my mouth were, and by the way, I'm telling the medium all of this story because as I've learned over the last couple of years, when I tell the story about family, that usually seems to trigger them coming through. And I get the, not quite the light coming down, but I get the same feeling, the tingling all over, the chills, and then I burst into tears. So I'm telling her this. So we went into the house. I said, okay, Moses, it's, Charlie's grandkids. We're just here to see the house. Please don't throw anything at us. And when I said that, I got this warm feeling that came over my entire body, and it felt like I had just come home. And my cousin said the same thing a minute later. He says, well, it just feels like I'm home now. And we couldn't stop talking about the house for months afterwards. So it was since torn down, subdivided, cousins bought the land. So still in the family. But anyway, I'm telling her this story. As I'm telling her this story, I said, that's the only great great grandfather I think I've had contact with, because she had asked. It's a grandfather you've had contact with. And I'm like, well, that's the only one I know I've had contact with. So I started telling the story. As I'm telling the story, here comes that feeling. So, the tingling all over, the chill, and then, I could feel the energy coming down. And I just burst into tears while I'm talking to her on the phone. And she says, okay, he's with you, your spirit guides, you need to reach out, meditate. And so she says, my guides are telling me we can get rid of this curse right now. She says, they're saying it's doable. So let's meditate and we're going to do this. So I'm trying to meditate on the bed. She's meditating. She goes, okay, do you see a door? I said, there's a door there. We need to open that door. And I'm trying to picture a door. And again, this is a skill I still need to work on. But I managed to picture a door and start walking towards it. Of course, it's light all around this door. Get to the door and I open the door in my mind. I said, okay, we're opening the door. She goes, what do you see? And right as I open the door, there's that black shadow figure from the church in Connecticut. In my other story, when screws were being thrown at me and the whistling and the whole 9 yards, in the kitchen, this black shadow figure poked its head in, completely black shape, 2 white dots for eyes, a thin white line for a mouth. That's what appeared behind the door as I was picturing this. And I just, like that. She goes, what? I go, that shadow figure from the church in Connecticut is in the doorway. She goes, okay, well, we need to push through that. Okay, that's pushing. That could be the curse. That could be the elemental. That could be something. We need to push through that. We need to dissolve that. So she goes, go through the door. You need to walk through the door. So I'm picturing myself getting closer and closer to the door. As I get to the door, this black shadow figure thing all of a sudden like starts to dissolve, and then the pieces, the little black specks, all fly up into the ethos, and it disappears. I'm like, well, it's disappeared. It's gone. It looks like it's dissolved. Okay, keep going. There's a second door. We need to open that second door. And so I keep going through, and all I see is light at this point. I don't see another door. I'm trying to picture another door, but she says, okay, we're at the second door. Do you see the door? I said, honestly, I don't really see the door. I just see a lot of light around me. She goes, well, picture the door. So picture the door. She opens it up, and she says, okay, this is it. And so we go through, I'm getting a chill now, go through the door. And of course, I'm just seeing light. And she says, okay, I believe we've dissolved the curse. We've taken care of the elemental, the curse. You are released. I'm like, thank God. But that was quite a journey. So, I'm still crying from my great great grandfather. So maybe he's a spirit guide for me. Anyway, so that was very profound. So as you know, we go through the second door, get rid of that. I couldn't see the lights coming down, but I could feel this energy shaft now. And I'm feeling that more now. And she said, I need to meditate more. I need to, it takes discipline. You need to picture it. You need to open up. I said, am I supposed to see that light feeling every time I'm connecting? She said, yes. I said, well, I'm going to be walking around crying all day then, because that's how intense it is. But I need to meditate more. I need to focus. I need to connect. And for me, apparently, connection means I'm picturing the relatives around me. I did feel my spirit guide um, much more closely, like right here. And I feel that a lot more often than I did. Um, she also said, um, my concern is like I never seem to get a response. She goes, well, you need to listen, you need to pay attention, you need to meditate. So she said, okay, ask the question now. Ask the question, what do you want me to do? What is your advice for me? So I asked the question, and I'm sitting there struggling, not thinking I'm going to get an answer. And then finally I hear some, and then I hear, love everyone unconditionally, very clearly in my head. And so I repeat it. I said, it just said, love everyone unconditionally. She goes, yes, that's it. So I'm asking about, how do I further develop this ability and all that? And she's talking through a few things, typical things. But then she said, your energy is so strong. You are there. Typically she has to tell people to practice, practice, practice the ability. She goes, you are there. You are fully capable. You need no more training. You just need to learn to listen and pay attention to your spirit guides. You need to call on them more often, meditate more often, and work out how your communication is. But she says, you're fully developed as a medium. Your abilities are 100%. You just need to work on the communication piece. So I'm going to continue to work with her on this. I kind of would like to be able to walk into a space, see, okay, there's someone standing in the corner. What do you need? What can I help you with? But it's a process. Like every reading parents and everyone else have always told me over the last couple of years, patience, patience, patience. So I'm learning more patience. I do feel that shaft of energy more often. And I just try to picture myself with my spirit guide, one of my spirit guides, or one of them, my team around me at all times. And when I get flustered, when I hit a trigger point, certain things that trigger me, is like, okay, calm down, deep breath. We need to recenter. So I'm making progress. I feel I'm a lot better off right now than I was 6 weeks ago. I believe that the curse is gone. Whatever was attached to me has detached. My protections are here all the time, and I can feel them coming in now. Um, So I'm in a much better place now, and I'm going to continue working on that. But doesn't mean I'm not going to continue to have experiences and relate those experiences on video. But that's basically the state of the world for me right now. So I will mention, I need to call out, I found a channel on here with some additional advice. It's Psychic Mediums React. Um, Gentleman who had a near-death experience now channels, and he has some advice. And he also reviews some of these ghost shows and tells you what is BS and what is not BS. So I like it for that too, because I kind of have the same opinion. But anyway, wearing red, um, painting, hanging drapes, anything red. Red is a low energy color. And he said, like me, he would continually get visits at night. And he tried saging, prayers, tingsha, every ritual he could think of, calling in spirit guides, a whole nine yards. Nothing helped reduce that until, was it his spirit guide told him to surround himself with red. So apparently he tried sleeping one night with 3 red floodlights on him, like dark red colored floodlights, and he didn't have any experiences that night. And so since he's been learning, you put up red drapes. He painted his bedroom red. His sheets, his covers, his pillowcases are all red, which I used to think was an evil color. But he said, no, it's very low energy it's lower on the electromagnetic spectrum. And he talks about fourth dimension beings being the ones that are stuck or the ones that are evil. And then fifth or even sixth dimension beings are fully healed souls. So he has a prayer that he uses, that he plays at night for anything that happens to wander in, to help them realize that they can cross over themselves. But he surrounds himself with the color red, and since he's done that, he gets very little activity. He says if he does see or hear something, it's in the distance. It cannot come into his space. So that was an interesting tidbit. And so I'm not painting my bedroom red or anything like that, but very interesting information. So like I said, I'm taking all this in. But again, his channel is Psychic Mediums React if you want to check it out. Um, has some good information on there. So as I learn more, I'm going to share more. But so basically, I'm still on my journey, but I feel I've come a lot further in the last 6 weeks than I have before. So I'm out of the dark space. I know where my people are. I feel it coming on again. So I'm hoping to continue and further develop my gifts here and help as many people and souls and love everyone unconditionally. Stop being judgmental and sarcastic and making quips as I was prone to do. But I've noticed a lot of those thoughts and that attitude has actually lessened. I'm not quick to go to a joke or a sarcastic comment anymore. Just sit, listen, and then respond lovingly to whatever hits me. So the journey continues. If you have any advice or you can relate to any of this, feel free to leave a comment, but that is my current state. So God bless.